What is going on, college sports fans, college hoops fans, and fellow members of Mountaineer Nation? This is Couz.
And I am Mountaineer Paul.
And we present to you
Hoops from the Hills.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Paul and I are coming to you once again. Another episode of Hoops from the Hills as we review last night's West Virginia loss to the Oklahoma State Cowboys, 67-60. Kind of look at where they are, where they're going, what they have coming up, and then kind of some of the fallout and the controversy surrounding last night's debacle. That's what I'm going to call it. But Paul, let me shoot it over to you, man. What are your initial thoughts about the Mountaineers' loss last night to the Cowboys?
Drama, man. It's drama. You know, just in the media, Huggins is using the media to get things done, which he's done before. That's nothing new. He's obviously very frustrated. I was so mad I didn't even see the end of the game, but you told me later on that they walked off on the floor, which is so out of character for Bob Huggins.
He did. I was disappointed to hear it. I've still yet to find out a reason why he did that. I don't want to make any assumptions as to why he done it. It could have just been heat of the moment. He was so upset. He just wanted to get back to the locker room. I don't want, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to make any false assumptions towards him, why he might do it. Because he didn't, I don't think he had any ill will towards Oklahoma State, to my knowledge, or towards Mike Boynton or anything like that. Matter of fact, he had great things to say about Mike Boynton in his post-game presser. So I don't think it was anything like that. I think it was just he was emotional, he was aggravated, he was mad, and he wanted to get back to the locker room probably to talk to his guys and just to get out of there. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
That's what I think.
Yeah, I think, you've been so mad or in the heat of the moment that you don't even think. I think that's probably what he did. He just probably before he knew it, he was in the locker room or whatever. But extremely upsetting to see. And it's what's crazy is the last two games that we have played, I mean, it's safe to say that neither of these teams are as good as the Xavier or the Purdue teams that we played. And so it's not like we can't shoot the ball against good competition. That's what messes with me. What is it about the Big 12 that's causing this to happen? Because nobody can convince me that Kansas State or Oklahoma State is better than Purdue or Xavier. So it's confusing.
It is very confusing. And, that kind of ties in with the title of our video. This is actually starting to look eerily similar to last year, where the team looked really good in non-conference play, and then things fell off the rails during conference play. We didn't think that would happen again this year because we thought this core group of guys would be a better team overall, and they still could be. They're older, more mature. We thought more talented, more skilled. I mean, they had better backgrounds and pedigrees than the guys we brought in last year in most cases. So you thought, hey, this is a better group of guys, and there's still time for them to be that, but it just, the way things have looked these last two games, it just does not look promising, man. And I'm a little concerned. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not panicking yet, but I'm concerned.
100%. And I'll let you do the reading on this if you don't mind. But do you want to get into the comments that Hugs made and kind of break those down a little bit and get our reactions?
Yeah. But let's preface it by talking about Erik Stevenson last night. 17 points, leading scorer in the game. Okay. Had just made 3 3-pointers in like a 90-second span to give West Virginia their first lead of the ball game. He goes down the court, apparently makes some kind of gesture towards Marcus Smart, who's sitting in the crowd, which you couldn't see on camera. He gets a technical foul. That was his 4th foul now, okay? Puts him up against the 8 ball, as far as fouls go. A few minutes later, he gets his 5th foul. He's out of the game. West Virginia loses its momentum. They end up losing the game. It's his 2nd technical foul in 2 games. He had a technical foul against Kansas State, and then he had another one last night. Bob Huggins was not happy with Erik Stevenson. And go ahead and pop up that graphic, Paul, and I'll read it. This is in West Virginia Sports.com, which is the rival site for West Virginia, says Erik did something incredibly stupid again and basically cost us the game, and it can't happen again. This cannot happen again. From what I'm told, he made it to Marcus Smart, but yeah, the crowd, talking about the gesture. And this is Hugs talking now, by the way. We got some guys. I know one for sure. The next time it happens, he will no longer be a Mountaineer. Not doing that. Some of these guys, I said to them in there, you never know when we need you. So you guys that sit here and pout and sulk, and you get in the game and you can't get anything done because you're pouting. We can't have one guy changing the game the way he's changed the game. I love the kid. I do, and I wish him nothing but the best. But he hurts our team when he does that, and he doesn't have that right. I don't care who you are, what you think you are. You don't have that right to hurt your team, hurt your teammates. You don't have that right. For what? Look at me. Look at me. Who cares about me? Do what you're supposed to do. Or actually, I think it says, who cares about you? Do what you're supposed to do. So that was one long quote from Bob Huggins during one of his post-game interviews last night. And the whole thing centered around Erik Stevenson hurting his team because he can't stay on the floor because he keeps getting technical fouls. Because remember, guys, a technical foul is also a personal foul. So it counts against your 5. And we need him on. He's obviously shown we need him on the court. They're a better basketball team with him in the game, and they need him on the court. So Huggins is extremely, extremely frustrated with Erik. Has went as far as to say if it happens again, he may kick him off the team. So, Paul, your thoughts?
Well, as you know, I have been very pro Erik Stevenson all year long. I beat the drum down for him, even when some early metrics came out and said that he wasn't as valuable to the team as he's shown to be at times. He does something like this. And listen, he's a young kid. I get that. Even though he's a senior in college, he's still young to me. He's still full of adrenaline. And he made a mistake. It's not something that's really forgivable, but it's something you have to forget, especially if you're Bob Huggins and Erik Stevenson. I feel like this is something that needs to be forgotten and moved on from. And hopefully both parties can do that. Hopefully there's no lingering resentment here from either side, because that will only hurt the team going forward. And if there's going to be lingering resentment, then a clean break just needs to be made. I don't want to react too harshly to this, but 2 games, against probably the bottom 2 teams in the conference is how most people viewed this going into this weekend, is a big deal, especially when you got to have at least 8 to 10 of these wins to really have a chance at the NCAA tournament. And so I don't want to overreact and say he needs to be kicked off the team and he's this piece of crap. But I also will say he has shown some real immaturity. He has a little bit of growing up to do. He likes to get out there and yap and whatever. That's fine. You want to get other players' heads and do that? Fine. Keedy does it too. But there is a limit. And where you can't mess up is when you respond. The retaliator always gets in trouble, right? And I'm sure somebody had chirped at him to get this response out of him because he had played so poorly up until that point.
Right.
Well, real streaky is a better way to put it. So I'm assuming, that's probably what happened. Don't know why the Marcus Smart thing comes into play. He couldn't hold Marcus Smart's jockstrap, to be honest. Marcus Smart's been good for 7, 8, 9 years with the Celtics now, and has been a part of some really good basketball teams, and is an all-NBA player on the defensive end especially. He would lock Erik Stevenson down,
Right.
So I don't know where that came from.
Well, it's funny you say jockstrap because that actually relates to the reason he got a technical. But anyway, I won't go there. You can all find it on Twitter, the pictures on Twitter. But anyway, we now know why he got a technical and why he made and the gesture that he made toward Marcus Smart. I don't know if Marcus Smart was talking trash to him from the stands. I don't know, but you gotta ignore that crap, man. And
that's what he's known for.
Yeah, especially the fact that Erik Stevenson is supposedly the leader of the team.
Yeah.
The leader of the team can't do that stuff. You have to rise above that kind of crap, man. A little bit of talk, the problem with the thing with Erik, and I don't say the problem, but the thing with Erik is his energy and his attitude and his swagger are what makes him as good as he is.
Yeah.
But he's got
it's a really fine line.
Yeah, he's got to learn to control it better, man. I mean, it would be awful, absolutely awful for him as a young man, for Coach Huggins to have to do it because I know he loves the kid. He's talked glowingly about him, in every other regard, and even for the team and for the fans. If he ends up getting kicked off this basketball team, I mean, it would be.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they can't win without him, but it would be extremely challenging, especially if Jose Perez doesn't get cleared, because he's a guard. He can score the basketball. He's really the only consistent outside shooter we've had.
Yeah.
Emmett was doing pretty well, but the last few games, his shots not been going in. So we need his scoring, man. And if something happens and he gets kicked off this team, I don't think it'll come to that, and I hope it doesn't.
Yeah.
I'm hoping this is a lesson for him. Maybe this will humble him a little bit.
Right.
But I just it would be really bad for him to get kicked off the team, for everybody involved. I don't,
Agreed. And not only for that, but think about that. I would say that Erik would admit as well, this has probably been his most pleasurable college experience, being at West Virginia. I think he finally landed somewhere he felt like he belonged and fit. And this would be really sad if that happened, because he probably wouldn't not come back in the future had this were that to happen. And I want him to be a part of Mountaineer Nation for the rest of all of our lives, however long he's alive for. I want to see him come back. So I really hope this doesn't get to that point, because I am a fan of Erik Stevenson. If he watches this, I want him to know that. I want him to know we love him. And we've all got his back, but he has to do better. JT Daniels didn't get this much sway with me. I'm just telling you right now. So, not that I'm some person to be worried about, but I typically say what I feel when it comes to these players. And I was done with JT Daniels after 2 bad performances, and even he didn't cause us the game. These calls cost us games. The first one was bullcrap, though, in my opinion. I don't know why the first one is being brought up like it was something he did when everybody was so aghast at the call to begin with. He literally incidentally hit this guy in the head with his arm, going for the ball, and they called a technical, right? So that wasn't really, in my opinion, anything that he did as much as it was the refs made a bad call, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, and I get that, and I agree with you, but I think the problem, I think what's got Hugs so frustrating. This is total speculation. I mean, obviously, I've not talked to Bob Huggins, but not there yet. One day, but my point is, I think it's what he did. If it was a situation where Hugs thought it was a stupid call or a bad call,
he would say that.
I don't think he would be so upset about it. But what Erik did was absolutely, and Erik knows. Look, like you said, if Erik hears this, Erik knows this. Erik's. I think he does have enough maturity to know what he did was wrong, and that he hurt the team. I think he'd admit that to us and to anybody.
Right.
So I don't think we're saying anything he doesn't already know and agree with, probably. Because I don't think he's a bad young man. I really don't. I think he just gets too emotional in these games and does things that he shouldn't do because he's not really figured out how to control his emotions yet. But that being said, let's assume going forward, Erik Stevenson's still on the team. This gets all put behind us. They've got Kansas and Baylor coming up, man, at home.
Yeah.
Are these must-win games?
Jalen Bridges.
Are these must-win games for the Mountaineers?
Absolutely. Absolutely they are. And the good news is Bob Huggins has shown to have the ability to be able to get his teams ready for these teams in the past.
Yeah.
So I think that's definitely something that it's tough to say, as far as must win. I'll say, yeah, I think they're must win games. Just thinking about that a little bit. 0-4 is a tough hole to climb out of. at the end of the day. It's just is.
Yeah.
uh, you think you win 4 in a row and you're still 500 in the conference if you lose those games.
Yeah.
I don't even think splitting is maybe splitting, especially if you beat Kansas, would help, but certainly winning both games would quell a lot of people's fears and worries. Bob Huggins knows this, and he knows he's on the verge of putting a bad team out there 2 years in a row. And so this is his legacy we're talking about. He came home to do something special at West Virginia. I think a lot of us have not given up hope that he would eventually do that for us. Uh, and there's a lot portion of us also that think 2010 was that thing. I don't know. I'd like. It's unfortunate that this transfer portal was coming along so late in his career. I'd like to have seen what he could have done when he was a little younger with it.
Mm-hmm.
But getting a little off topic here, I just think he doesn't have a lot of time left, man, and he senses that.
Mm-hmm.
Physically, I don't know how much longer he can do this. He limps around the court and he can barely stand. I mean, this is something that don't get talked about a lot. And then there's also the contingent of people that think he should have been done. And
Yeah.
you can go about it either way. I'm of the opinion that Bob, he's earned the right, to go out on his terms to an extent.
Right.
Another losing season. Let's say this one turns out to be losing, and then we have another bad one. Then okay, but
Yeah.
I'm not ready after one season and a couple in the last 10 that were bad to say that.
And just to read over some quick stats from last night's game. I say last night because we're recording this on the day after on January. We're recording on January the 3rd, but the game was on January 2nd. You got leading scorer on the night was, like I said, Erik Stevenson was 17. Trey Mitchell once again has a really good night, has 16 points to go along with 7 rebounds. Emmett Matthews had 8 points. Jimmy Bell only 4 points, 9 rebounds. Muhammad Wagi, 2 points, only 2 points. Not as much bench production in this game as we're accustomed to. Joe Toussaint only had 3. Seth Wilson 2. Joe Toussaint was the leading bench scorer with 3. So just not a lot of production offensively. Leading the way for Oklahoma State, you had Bryce Thompson had 15 points. Avery Anderson III with 13 points. John Michael Wright with 11 points. Caleb Boone with 10 points. And then the leading rebounder was also Caleb Boone with 6 rebounds. So that was your leading players. That was your leading guys for Oklahoma State, just to go over some quick stats for everybody. But West Virginia just did not – once again, they turned the ball over way too many times. They had 15 turnovers again. Once again, shot barely over 60% from the free throw strike. I mean, they just continuing to do the same things that they did in game 1 of the Big 12 play and the same things last year's team was doing, turning it over and not making the free throws. And now all of a sudden, they can't shoot the ball. The one thing they had been doing well all year, they're not doing well anymore. It's absolutely puzzling to me how this can happen overnight. Well, Paul, is there anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think we've covered pretty much everything. Just let's just I understand we're all upset with Erik Stevenson. Let's just limit, how badly you trash him. This thing's have an effect on people. Other recruits see it. I'm not a big fan of it, as you know. So
Yeah,
I don't see what trashing Erik Stevenson in his mentions or wherever you go to do it is going to help anything. Come here and do it in our comment section instead.
Yeah, and I don't, hopefully this was not perceived as trashing him at all because that wasn't our intent.
Right.
We're bringing our opinion. He did something stupid he shouldn't have done that hurt his team, and he's got to cut it out if this team wants to be successful. That's nothing Bob Huggins hasn't already said to him. So we're basically, you know what I'm saying? So we're not out here to bash him as a person or bash his character in any way.
Right.
Anyway, guys, don't forget to subscribe to us here on Hoops from the Hills. I always forget to mention that early on in the video, but please subscribe to us. Brent's still a new channel here. We're trying to grow this thing. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. Like it if you like the video. If you don't like it, hit the thumbs down button. That works too. Drop that comment below. Let us know what you think about the team and about the Erik Stevenson situation. do you think Hugs is handling this the right way? You know, that's a little bit of a hot topic. What do you think? Do you agree with Hugs's? Should he have said what he said, or should
His
he have?
methods.
And his methods? Yeah, do you agree with his methods? I know there's a lot of people who don't. I have some friends who don't. Um, and just just leave a comment below whatever you want to talk about, and then don't forget to share it out. Let your college hoops friends know about us over here at Hoops from the Hills. Don't forget our other channels, Couz's Corner and Mountaineer Paul Talks Football. Don't forget to check out my Couz'sCorner.com website. There's a couple articles up there now. Actually, there's a nice recap that was done by one of my writers over there that got published today. Go check that out.
Nice.
A game recap, and then there's couple other articles up as well. And check us out on Twitter at Couz206 and at Paul Mountaineer as well, guys. Don't forget, we love to interact with our fans over there, with Mountaineer Nation over there, and with Big 12 fans, for that matter. With that being said, guys, oh yeah, and DeMar Hamlin, Bills player, don't forget him. Keep him and his family in your thoughts and in your prayers. Looks like they've released a statement. I haven't got to read it all yet, but it does look like he had a heart attack, essentially, based on what the family's saying and the statements that have been released. So keep him in your thoughts and prayers as well. With that being said, we're out.